So I wanted to say super shout out to all of the Oliver Anthony fans. Thank you for getting my video to 20,000 views. It means the world to me. I appreciate it. I'm eating the mic again. I had to adjust my camera a little bit because it just felt like, I don't know, camera was being camera-y, okay? Anyway, so someone suggested this and I'm going to check it out. This is the Joe Rogan um yeah, it's supposed to be the backstory. So here's the thing. You guys told me in the comments all the stuff that was going on, and I understand what you're saying, and I have stuff to say, and I thought this is the best way to do it rather than just put out a commentary. I'm going to watch this video and I'm going to comment while it goes. If you don't like people commenting and pausing videos, get off reaction channels. Sorry, not sorry. Anyway, so we're going to dive into this. I think there's a lot that needs to be said, and even from a female's perspective. So I hope you enjoy it. And here we go. Here we go. Hold on. Okay, so I'm trying not to peak my mic. It's like going into the red, which is fun. Excuse me. Okay, so this is, I don't know, this is a 4-minute video. Joe Rogan and SOP gang react to Oliver Anthony's next hit, Scornful Woman. I'm assuming it uses pieces of the song, which is fine. I've heard the song, so okay, here we go. Let's do it.
Like private music studio, and nobody has to hear it until you listen to it the first time. You're like, God damn.
Yeah.
Like Oliver Anthony's new album.
I haven't heard it.
Bro.
Really?
Bro, there's a song. We're going to play the song.
Leak it?
You can't play it on the air. So we'll play
The
it.
same one you already sent me?
Oh,
I
yeah.
should have it already.
We'll play it, and then we'll react to it. Okay. I'll tell you guys, cut all this out. I'll tell you guys what happened. So
Yeah.
Oliver Anthony has no money, right? He's poor. He's selling farm equipment. He puts his song on YouTube. He's a fucking superstar, right? He doesn't know what to do. He freaks out. He asked me for advice. I call him on the phone. We have a conversation for like a fucking hour where I go, don't sign anything with anybody. And he's like, they're telling me I have to strike while the iron's hot. I go, bullshit. They're trying to steal money from you. I go, you're independent. You're already there. You already made it. I know
Yeah,
if you wrote that song,
Yeah.
I'm like, if you wrote that song, you could write a dozen of those fucking songs.
Okay, so just for the record, I am fully supportive of independent artists. I think staying independent is important, especially now. I think that it's a mistake to sign at this point. You don't need to. It's not easy. You got to hustle your ass off, but you know, you can make it. There's so many that have, and I fully support them in their careers and appreciate everything that they do. So I agree with this completely. It is a money grab. They want to grab onto the virility. That's a weird word. Anyway, the viral, thing that's going on with music that just skyrockets. Okay, they want the money and they want to nab you so that they can make money or suppress. It's either way. And it's always a mistake. And I don't know anyone who's like, oh my God, I'm so glad 15 years later that I signed, because it was just all the things. Most are not like that. Maybe there's like 1 in a million, but that's not the case. Anyway, so I agree with him.
Already made it. I know
Yeah,
if you
Lisa
wrote that
Loeb.
song,
Yeah.
I'm like, if you wrote that song, you could write a dozen of those fucking songs. You don't need anybody. He's like, they're offering me $7 million. I go, no. They're offering to steal money from you for the rest of your life.
Which is so this is a really hard concept here. So think about it this way, just from someone who lives paycheck to paycheck and has lost everything multiple times and had to start with nothing, wondering where the next light bill's coming from, wondering where the next water bill's coming from. So imagine being that person who has been struggling and scraping and just wants to do right by their family. And then someone says, look, I can solve all your problems. Here's $7 million. Your first thought is, oh, that would be everything. Like, what would you do for 10 grand to get you out of debt, or 20 or 50 grand or 100,000 or a million? A lot of people would do a lot. You'd be surprised, especially when your family's on the line and you're working hard every day and you get this big break and it's like you feel like you have to take it. This is what it's all about, is you got to, have that safety net, protect your family. What people don't realize when they do is that they're signing up to the fine print and all of this stuff, and, in perpetuity and all that stuff. So I understand how someone would be like, oh my gosh. If someone said, I'll give you $1 million if you never, blah, 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 you never make another video. Okay. Right now, all my videos aren't worth $1 million. So to me, that would be a great deal. But what if in 2 years, I could be making, a steady income? I don't know. What would you be signing away? I don't know. It's a lot of I know it's a lot of talking, y'all. That's what you're here for. Okay?
That's what they're doing. I go, you don't need them. You have talent. So cut to, he starts making millions of dollars, doing arenas. The wife divorces him. She wants everything. She wants everything. Whoa. She wants more than half. She wants all the money that he's going to be making in the future because she was with him when he was broke. So it's fucking crazy. He's just tortured.
What a fucking idiot.
Wants to.
I muted my mic by accident. That was great. So let me just say this. Pretend that didn't just happen. I am a woman. And what he is describing here is wrong on every level. And to any male, female, doesn't matter who you are. If you do this to your significant other, you're a piece of crap. Okay? So and people have asked me about this, and I'm not going to get into it in this video probably. Maybe I will at the end. But what she's doing, she wants, I deserve all of this because I was with you when you were broke. That's not how it works. That's not how that goes. Like, you split your marital, from what I understand, because it's not how my divorce went either. You split your marital assets because you accumulated them during the course of your marriage. Okay. Now, if you started a company together and she was pivotal in that company, I'm not saying she watched the kids. They're her kids. You're just supposed to do that. I'm not saying that she, it doesn't matter. That's not how that works. So you split your marital assets, right? That's why people get these bulk payments from these big artists. They're like, get this divorce settlement, right? You don't get it in perpetuity forever. Well, because you're welcome. I was with you when you were broke, but now that I feel like I can get a cut, and you realize that my bitchy ass isn't worth sticking around for because I'm kind of a word I can't say that rhymes with punt. Now that, you've realized how I am and that there's other fish. I'm not saying he did. I'm just saying now I've realized that I can snatch, your income. I'm going to. And to me, that's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. When you love somebody, you're with them thick or thin, right? So if you no longer love that person, that's fine. You cut your losses. You split your current assets, or however that works out. I know there's a lot of salty people in the comments that got screwed, and I'm sorry. I mean, that sucks. I'm not saying that's okay. Anyway, and you walk away. You move on. This whole you owe me, because back when I was broke and you were broke, they were both broke. He got out of that, provided for her, and then she wants it done. Okay. You're choosing to leave this cash cow. That's your problem. Anyway, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. It's disgusting.
Tortured.
What a fucking idiot.
Wants to die. Wants to die. And he writes this song.
So sad. Wait, did that say Mercer County? Did I not miss that the first time? Yeah, I was in that area. Not that area, but other areas near.
Well, she got a side to her I wanna run from. She'll turn a warm afternoon into a cold, cold one. Well, he grabbed the apple and Adam took a bite, and now all these years later, and the mask still ain't right with a scornful woman.
So well done.
Scornful woman. I used to sleep so good, didn't have a night.
Okay, let me just say this for the record. When I did the reaction to start with, I wasn't sure if this was something that, you know, people write about heartache when they're not going through heartache sometimes. You can write about subjects that you are aware of, but not necessarily in that exact moment currently experiencing. So I asked for people to tell me in the comments, which is how I got here, by the way, to tell me in the comments if this was like reality currently, or if he was writing this from a place of personal trauma, I guess, or if it was, you know, if it was something that maybe his family had gone through or something of that nature. So a good songwriter can write a song from the perspective of going through it. It hits absolutely differently knowing that this is his story. It matters, you guys. It does matter. And so, anyway, for what that's worth.
There, I was busy dreaming, believing you's always gonna be right there.
I feel that.
Now the middle of the day is like the middle of the night, and the court says 50-50, but the math don't seem right with a scornful woman. Scornful woman. She can have all the money, and they can keep all the fame. I go back to being broke as a joke if I could just get a break from the pain.
Oh, I feel that you guys just don't understand how much you feel that. It's like I would give anything, you know, someone's going after all of your assets because they've boiled you down to nothing more than a dollar sign. And your feelings are involved and your heart is broken and you are like, how could you do this to me? You were supposed to love me and care for me and be with me. And I never thought we were going to split up. We were meant to be together, right? And this person reduces you to a dollar sign and is a bitch about it. You would do anything to take that away. Like, look, I would rather just go back to who I was without you because screw you now, lady. I'd rather go back to who I was so that I don't have to constantly, because think about it. Then he's got to, every time that anything happens or he signs a deal or he does a tour or he does a show, he's got to think about her because she's getting a cut. There's nothing worse than when you can't walk away like as best as possible. They got kids, so that's like, oh, never completely possible, but it's just, I feel it's so hard. Trust me. I'll tell you after this a little bit. I'm not going to go into it. I've gone into it a million times.
As a joke, if I could just get a break from the pain.
By the time this episode comes out, that song will be out.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, he just
Yeah.
wrote the
Yo.
He just ethered his wife.
Oh my God!
He's Nas to Jay-Z.
What a diss track!
Bro, that's the craziest diss track of all
Wait,
time.
it's coming out tomorrow. The next day.
It's coming out tomorrow.
The song is.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
the day this comes out, that album
The
comes
math
out.
don't seem right.
It's so
yeah.
funny. Every
Yeah.
divorced dude on earth is gonna be just fucking.
The judge says
blasted.
50-50,
Yeah.
but the math don't seem right
Yeah.
to a scorned woman.
Woo-wee. Okay, so
Like
give me 1
private
second.
music.
I'm just going to leave that up there. Okay, so here's the thing. A lot of people think that a woman shouldn't have a perspective on this because women are evil and they're mean and they always get the upper hand in divorce proceedings. Okay. And I understand that. I understand that completely because that can tend to be the issue. Now, it is absolutely the opposite of my experience, which is fine. And trust me, I've seen the comments and I've seen some people say some pretty mean shit in there, you guys. This song hits different knowing that it's coming from a real place. And I will make it super clear. Anyone that takes advantage of a situation to use someone and is greedy can basically fuck right off. I can't stand it. I think that life is too short to be greedy. And that sounds like the opposite, right? It's like life's too short. You should like take what you can get. That's not how that works. This is love and feelings and children and a family. It's a whole different beast, in my opinion. Now, a lot of people asked me about this in the video, in the comments, because they're like, oh, well, you look like, okay, by the way, first off, let me just explain something super simple. Resting bitch face means my face always looks like this. So it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm like angry or I hate something. You have to understand, without any context, this song kind of is like, well, damn, you don't like women, right? With no context. So you've got to understand, reactions are first listens. So anyway, I had someone that was super salty that was like, you stole your kids. Yeah, I took my children because I care, you know. My divorce I paid for in full. I did a $5,000 retainer. Actually, I interviewed the attorney, and the attorney was telling me how much of a jerk he was, and I was like, cool, I want you. I spent 14 years with a man who was abusive and narcissistic and just a piece of crap. I was the only one that ever worked. I think he got a job for like a month and a half, 2 months, once or twice in 14 years. Okay. He said he stayed at home because he wasn't working. And so I should have paid him. He told me you should be paying me for babysitting our children. Okay. Whatever. In 2016, I put him in jail for attempted murder. It got pled down to felony domestic battery. And after his come to Jesus in jail, right? Because, I'm the smart one. After 14 years, okay, there was drugs, there was abuse, it was all that. So anyway, I tried to make it work. And I said, you go back to drugs. I'm done. And so he did. With his mother. Go figure. Anyway, so then I got an attorney. I wanted a mean one because I knew that just to spite me, he's that guy who's like, I'll make your kids hate you. I'll make our kids hate you because I can. Narcissism is crazy, y'all. So I got an attorney. I paid a $5,000 retainer. I did most of the legwork because he was hiding and he didn't have an official address, even though he was still on probation. And I hunted him down. I paid, I think, like 7 or 8 times for the process server, which, by the way, is between $75 and $150 each time to go serve the papers. They would knock on the door and they would report to me and say, well, we saw him. He's behind the couch and he won't come out. He won't answer the door. So there's nothing we can do. We can't just hang the notice. So I ended up talking to his mom. And, sweet talked her because, and I had to go back to court, which cost more money, and get the judge to give me a special court order that I was allowed to serve his mother in lieu of him because I knew they were in contact. I knew he was near. And she could get him the papers and he wouldn't, after like 8 months, 9 months and like 7 or 8 attempts, he wouldn't let me serve him. So they ended up serving his mother. That's how it happened. And it took like over a year to get it because of his history and because he was still threatening me, and he was abusive to the kids. He's allowed to have visitation with 7 days notice at the sheriff's station, which he won't do because he's got warrants. He was ordered to pay child support. He's, I think, paid maybe $300 in $100 increments just to keep them from issuing a warrant in the last 7 years. That's it. He owes like $25,000. One of my children is now over 18 and is, but I still have an 11-year-old. So that being said, I'm thrilled. I just hit my microphone. When I left, I had a restraining order on him because he was threatening to send people after me. He was messing with my vehicle. He was trying to, it was bad. So I dropped the court order and took off. The second I got residency in Texas, I filed for divorce. Like, it wasn't even a joke. Like, I was running. I took in a 4-door small, it was a Kia Spectra. I took what I could fit along with myself and 2 children. One very pissed off 11-year-old at the time and a 2-year-old. And I drove from Florida to Texas. And I sent, I think, 3 or 4 UPS boxes through the mail of their clothes and toys. And I put my TV, my computer, and like necessities in the car because it couldn't fit very much, blankets and pillows and stuff. And I left everything else behind. I didn't take a single thing that was his. I went through everything in the house, made sure everything that was his stayed behind. I mailed him a key on my way out, and I left. So my children are happy. They're healthy. He has not once tried to reach out to my now 11-year-old. She was 3 at the time. I got the math wrong, okay? Anyway, that being said, I despise someone like this woman that they're speaking of that would treat someone like this. It's disgusting. Okay? So there are good women. I know everybody knows that there are good women and good men out there. I could sit here and say that there's no good men out there because my ex is a piece of crap. That's not how that works. Just because you got done wrong doesn't mean that everyone in the world is bad. But people get very jaded and biased. And they're like, well, you must be a scornful woman because you have a resting bitch face. Okay, cool. Think like you want. I wish Oliver Anthony the absolute best. I hope somehow he can fight this. It's not right. And honey, I'm talking to his ex-wife. There's a special place in hell for people like you. And I mean that. Like, I left everything. Trust me, my ex didn't have anything to give me. But I left everything behind. A 3-bedroom house worth of stuff, furniture, keepsakes, you name it. I left it all behind because to me, my freedom was worth everything. And I didn't need anything from him. I wanted it to be done. If you want to walk away, walk away. Split your marital assets and walk away. But to sit there and be like, well, you owe me. You have a inflated sense of who the hell you are, lady. Anyway, I could go on a tirade about that. I wish him the best. I hope he finds a way to get out from under the bullshit she pulled. And whatever judge granted that, what is wrong with you? Anyway, before I go on a further rant, thank you for watching. If you did, I'm just going to put this out there in the universe. I wanted to see what, Joe Rogan said, and I wanted to, get a chance to hear the video again. And then I also wanted to kind of answer some questions that were in the comments. They weren't questions. They were kind of nasty comments, but, love you. Anyway, I hope you guys have a good day. Oh, and happy Father's Day to all the good men out there. You are appreciated. Sincerely. I wish my daughter had somebody like you. Please keep it up. Keep being the good person that you are. And never let your children feel that separation, if there is any, with, you know, you and your spouse or their mom. Don't ever let them see it or hear it or have to be stuck in the middle. That's being a good parent. Anyway, love you guys. I think that 25 minutes is quite long enough. Bye.